It's on camera. We can go on for 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then we can order lunch.
Okay. I'm Herold Quardros.
I've not started yet.
Okay.
Welcome to the Chatolic Show. We have today again with us, again I say because this is a few minutes after doing a podcast with Deacon Anish, and we have with us Deacon Harry. Welcome. I'm not used to saying Deacon yet, but
Neither am I.
you are not used to listening to
Yes.
Deacon, but yes, I'm so glad to have you. Herold Quardros from...
Infant Jesus Dombivli.
What a privilege to have you in the seminary as a friend first. Everything else apart from that, because the few years of friendship that we've shared, I think 3 years, because when I came you were in Regency,
Yes.
and then you came back, I was there for 2 years, and then I was out for Regency, and now the third year.
Yeah.
So great joy to know you for 3 years, get to know the person on the inside, always smiling, the bubbly person, always there, the lover of food. Or the lovers of food,
Lovers of food, yes.
who meet together on the table. Welcome and thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me. Yes, thank you for this.
So you've been ordained as a deacon, now it's been 2 weeks. Exactly
Yes.
2 weeks, I think. Exactly 2 weeks, 2 Sundays back. Has the feeling sunk in yet? Has the joy sunk in yet? Has the
There was-
excitement sunk in yet?
I would say, so the same question was asked to us by the rector in a moderator meeting, and I had a different answer than my batchmates. So I was actually looking for this sense of excitement, this sense of, oh, I'm going to be a deacon. You know, we've been preparing for ordinations, diaconates, candidacy as part of the choir, and the thought is, it's 2 years for us, it's 1 more year for us, oh, this year is us. And when finally it came, it didn't feel special at all. Went for the retreat, not feeling special. What is this? You know, is something wrong with me? I see my batchmates praying and having this thing of ecstasy, sab ho raha hai, but I was not getting that feel. Maybe I'm like, okay, you know, God will do something in His own time. I think the feeling which I was looking for came in during the prayer service, and that feeling was of a holy fear. When the prayers were being made, the community members did a fantastic prayer, the third year theologians, and when the rector spoke of the duties that we have and how we are going to be sent out into the ministry, that sense of holy fear, you know, I'm going to be on the other side of the altar table now. I think that made me ready for that evening and for the next day. And am I being used to call deacon? Not so much, because you're still in the community. You're still in your comfort group. You are with your brothers whom you can be yourself. I know I can make a joke or two. I can do some foolish or say something naive, and no one's going to judge me, or no one's going to say, oh, you're a deacon, you're not supposed to say or do that. I think that feeling will come once I begin my ministry next month.
The mission to be sent is coming. You're going to be
Yes.
sent. Before you return to be sent again.
Sent again.
So it's been 8 years now. 8 years. This is the 8th year.
This is the 8th year.
What happened on that day that you decided, "Arey jaane ka yaar, God has called"? How do you get that? You know, or everybody's story is so different. So we listen to everybody's call and we say, "Arey God called you like this. Arey God called you like this." It's so different. What was that moment in your life? Or for some it's a moment. For some it's a journey. At the end of the journey, you're like, "Oh God, I'm called." You know, or like, it's "Thank God I'm called." Or it's "Oh God, I'm called, but I'm called."
Again, as in something similar to what you asked about the diaconate, I knew I had to be a priest, or at least I was telling that to myself from the time I was small. I won't go back to where and how it started, but throughout the latter years in my schooling and once I got into college, anyone who would ask me, so what is your plan? Kya banne ka hai? I'm like, haan, priest. And I had a share of, oh wow, the group of people who would give me respect. Oh, he wants to be a priest, you know. He's
Or
a prayerful,
encouragement.
Yeah, encouragement. Like especially the seniors from the parish or the aunties and uncles. Like, oh wow, he's going to be a priest, you know. Oh, that's why he's in the altar server. That's why he's in the choir. And also a sense of ridicule from people. Like, really, priest? Like, are you not interested in sex? Do you don't want kids? Are you gay? Like, what is your problem? You are, you cannot do this or you cannot do that. So I had both the share of, reactions. The conviction came when I was doing my fellowship. So I knew I had to join the seminary, but I had decided that not immediately after college. I needed some experience.
Work for a few years.
Yes,
get some
work or study for a few years.
Or see the other side of life before.
Exactly.
Before joining the
Because as we are here in the seminary in a bubble, in my college also I was in a bubble. You people know you, people recognize you from your events you've done. There's an identity that, okay, you're from this college, so wow, great. So what is exactly outside in the world, I had decided that either I'll study, and not in Bombay, I'll go out somewhere, or whichever comes first, or work. Providentially, a teaching fellowship came up. I applied for it, and I got through because I had some experience helping my senior in the same fellowship. What happened there for 2 years really changed my life. I would say that was my road to Calvary, and I think it was necessary. This was God trying to tell me, you need to go through this rite of passage in order to be ready, in order to have that conviction. So what exactly happened is I was placed in a slum area in Bombay. Now, we had studied a lot of things. I'm a sociology and anthropology student. So we did communities, we did cultures, we did religions, we discussed a lot, we debated a lot. But it was in the paradigm of a classroom. It was, you say something even controversial, it was in the classroom. It was not, you are not going to be hanged outside, oh, how dare you say this or say that. But it was all there, nobody held you accountable, or it was all forgotten. Here I was in the situation, and I realized how different it is when you're actually with the people who do not share your convictions, who do not share your religious beliefs. And it was a very tough experience for me, and the first year was really bad, in the sense of whatever I was doing, or whatever I was planning, whatever I thought I would do for my kids in the class was all backfiring.
So you were teaching in the school?
I was teaching in a school, yes.
And the school was in a slum where the worldview, in a sense, is different. It's not just different, it's radically different. From what you've seen. Is the kids are poor, and so
kids are poor, some are orphans, some are semi-orphans. Most of them come from a broken home. Many of them are abused at home, like they are beaten up. Some have scars, some have still fresh wounds on their hand, and to take all of that was difficult for me. And in my head, this has never happened to me or my peers. Like, where am I? What is this? And since I was right next to the dumping ground, the perpetual smell of filth and garbage, and everything was okay.
The school was next to the dumping ground?
Yes.
So you don't breathe fresh air in as much as you breathe
and the whole sense of complacency. Everyone's okay. It is okay to litter in the class because there's litter everywhere around you. So like, यहाँ पे एक दो बढ़ गया तो क्या जाने वाला है. So I was being challenged, my convictions, everything was being challenged day in, day out. The only support system that I had were my co-teachers from my fellowship, because the other teachers from the school, the normal teachers who were on the government payroll, looked at us as competitors, looked at us as threats, because according to them we spoke better English, we had modern technologies, the kids reciprocated well to us, so the relationship was not too cordial. And there was this, I think in the first year, I also, instead of challenging that norm, I went with it. Okay, this is me and that is you, and this is a wall between us. I will make sure that I excel much more than you, and I'll show that my ways are better than yours.
I don't think that's, though that's not the best, but that's the way we are trained in college. It says this competition.
Yes.
You better fight. It's never about taking someone along. It's like putting someone down so that I may be accepted, so that I may receive the,
there is no room for kindness there. It's like, no one's going to ask you, oh, because you showed kindness, okay, come, I'll accept you. No, it's like, no mercy. You want to be here, defeat everyone and come here.
Opposite of the gospel.
Yes. And I went through it, and it was bad. And I think the breaking point, I would say, came when I reached home one day, tired, irritated, and things at home were not too good because I was snapping in and out. My mom or my dad would ask, oh, how was your day? What did you do? And I would just tell them, just shut up. I don't want to talk about the school. I don't want to talk about the kids. Don't remove any school topics. I would go to my room, prepare the lesson plan for the next day and just sleep it out, because I stayed almost 2.5 hours away from the school. So I had to get up at 4 in the morning to be able to be there at 6:15, 6:20. So that train traveling, changing your train, taking a rickshaw, again entering that filth, that smell, it was all, I was hating each day, every experience.
The frustration was not with the co-teachers or the teachers, but it was more with the kids. The way the kids
yes,
responded
yes.
to, were they interested to learn? They were
Not
there.
exactly, no.
So you take all that effort, then
Yes.
you realize that they don't want to learn.
They don't want to learn. It's so you can imagine, like, look at me now, look at my build, my size, and a small tiny fellow, a 600 boy tells me when I give him, so we had a strict policy of not hitting them. So we had certain trackers, certain methods that we would correct them. And if I were to tell them, okay, you've lost 2 points or your group has lost 2 points and you will not be allowed to come for the recess or something, a small kid would come and tell me, "Tu bahar mil, tere ko kaat dunga."
My
So
God.
yeah, that initially was funny. I'm like, really, me? Look at us, look at the difference. But you could imagine that he had the courage and the audacity to come and tell his teacher that, I'll actually stab you, I'll slit you. And the more I was getting into this, or the more I was inquiring with my co-teachers or the former teachers, these were fairly common. A female teacher had been groped before, and my own co-teacher had to leave the school because she was groped, because she faced a lot of issues there in that school. Now so I started hating not only my kids, but the school and the community. And wherever I was looking for support, like, pick up my phone and just, my thing was, if I just went out to someone, they may give me some sympathy, they may understand my situation. But it was the opposite. They were like, who told you to go there? Don't you know these people are just like that? There is no good that is going to come from them. Just leave them be. Who told you of all places in Bombay to go to that godforsaken place, to that slum, to that dumping ground? And I think that ate into my head. I'm like, okay, I think I am wrong. I think what I'm doing here is bad. I should just leave. As I was saying, the breaking point came when I reached home and there was blood on my shirt. And my mom freaked out. She thought it was mine and I wasn't aware. So I just realized that I've been traveling for 2 hours in the train with a blood stain. And
then of one of the students?
One of the students who was stabbed by another student just for some silly things, some petty things. I guess he must have either taken his pen or dropped his bag or something. He just took a divider or a sharp object and he stabbed him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so there was a scuffle and whatever. That is inconsequential today, but what happened there is, I just decided enough, because my parents were like, this is not done, it's impacting you, it's impacting the peace in the family. We are not comfortable talking to you about all this, and it looks you are in distress. It's quite evident. And I had gotten into a shell. I maybe, I don't know, if I properly evaluate everything, I could say I was even depressed. So I decided, that's it, I'm leaving. What happened is, so end of every academic year, the organization has a retreat for you, so where you evaluate the whole year, the entire cohort, the whole Bombay cohort all over the school. They come together, they have a 3-4 days of retreat, chilling, and okay, how was the year, what could be done better, and all those things. And our retreat was in Sabarmati, Gujarat. I said, okay, maybe a good time to go there. Just whoever's close to me, just tell him, listen, nikal raha main, okay, bye bye, don't tell others. I'm leaving. This is the last. Yeah, I'm going to. Maybe I'll meet you all post non-school setup areas. I'll meet you all, but this is it. I'm leaving. And there, I happened to meet the fellows who were in my school long back, a couple of years ago. Yeah. And when they inquired with me as to, oh, you're from this school, this class, and there it felt as if my kids were speaking to me, in the sense they were speaking from my children's behalf, in the sense classroom is the place where they feel comfortable. At home, the situation is really bad. The first thing they asked me, have you done house visits? I said no, because I was told that I'm a male teacher, I cannot go into the community, it will be taken in a wrong sense, and maybe I'll be it be misconstrued as I'm having relationships with the women there. So I have avoided those things. I invite families to the school. Some come, some don't come. So they were like, no, that's big mistake. You should have gone there because you would have understood their situation. And
I can imagine. I would love to go home because I'm more comfortable at home.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of students, not only your school, but there be so many of them who are just wanting to come out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you realize these kids don't want to go home at all. And if that's part of your school, then we know that how difficult the situation at home. And this is not just a few children, but these so many children, the entire class.
Yeah.
They want to, they're more comfortable in the school.
It just because they could be themselves, they could be with their friends, and I think they saw me and the previous teachers who came to that class as someone they could be themselves with. Like, I know this fellow ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा चिल्लाएगा. I know he's not going to hit me. And when I say hit, means a lot of, like, from anything from putting your hand actually literally into a pan of boiling oil to a hot spoon on your skin to cigarette butt marks to cuts to belt, and anything that was available they would use that violence. So the normal understanding in that community was, you do something wrong, you pay for it. Simple, full stop, period. There is no forgiveness. There is no I will repent. I won't do it again. So even for me, like when other kids from other classrooms would call me Hatti and Dharti ke boj and ए मोटे ए जाड़े while I was teaching, my kids were like, sir, अभी बोलो, मैं अभी काट के आता हूँ या अभी मार के आता हूँ. And when I used to say, it's okay, 6th standard children, and I'm like, no, just sit down. And they're like, Arey, how are you like this? Why are you like this? You have the bulk, just go and sit on them, right? Like they'll know who you are, and you're not supposed to be someone who's supposed to be messed up with. But for them, nahi, you cannot say sorry. Nahi ho sakta. This is not the norm of this place. And I realized everything in me was being challenged. And here, that conversation with those people, with the former teachers there, I realized that I was, I think, the 5th or the 6th teacher in that classroom, and none of them had finished a complete year. Some of them had left in a couple of months. Some of them had left at the end of the year, like the way I was going to. So the kids had terrible trust issues. So I'm putting my trust in you, Rolwyn, and I'm about to open up, and then I just realized, oh, he's no longer there. He deserted me. He left me.
Or maybe I have just opened up, and he's heard and he's gone.
Yeah, he's heard and he's gone. I'm trying to express myself. Maybe I don't know how to express myself, but I'm trying with the ways. You saw me, you heard me, you gave me some mixed signals, and then you just left. So they had terrible trust issues with all the teachers. And that day, I think a voice in me, which today I will say the Holy Spirit was telling me, something tell me, don't leave. They need you. Don't leave. Continue. You will be fine. Now you know the story. Now you know their side of how they are, what they are, why they are like this. Continue. And I'm thankful I did not share this with anyone, in the sense I had not shared with anyone that I'm planning to leave. And I went back the next academic year, and I actually got like a loud reception and like a loud welcome, because I don't think they expected that I would be back.
They never expected the teacher.
They never expected that I would be back.
So you went from 6th to 7th.
Yeah, I moved. So the organization moves with the class. So we started in 2nd standard or 1st standard, and I had come when they were in 6th. So 7th, and then someone else came in 8th, 9th, 10th. Today, many of them are in college. So when I came, that year was very different, because I had a different perspective. And now, more than academic formation, our focus was, my co-teachers and our focus was human formation. We were like, I don't care what your grade levels are, because I realized when I sit with my peers and someone is like, oh, my kid had a 0.1 growth or 2 point some growth, and mine is everything in negative. What they were in 5th standard, today they are lower than that. And I would say, oh, that is because I'm a bad teacher. उनको इतना पढ़ने आता था, आज उतना पढ़ने भी नहीं आता है. So I'm a terrible teacher. But I realized there are a lot of other factors in play. So I wouldn't say I discarded the academic part, but I gave more focus on the human formation part. So taking them out for field trips. Who is paying for this? Our families or some donors through Facebook or something. We took them out.
So you were paying from your own pocket, to be able to take the kids out to help them for their development. So it's your pay, And whatever you're earning, you're spending.
Spending plus borrowing money from the family. So nothing is coming home.
I can associate that when someone's working and then borrowing money from the family.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's like, what are you doing?
Why are you even working if you have to borrow money? But my family was very supportive that way. Like, I told them this is what it is, and they were supportive. And I think the important part came where I moved out. So from Dombivli, I stayed next to my community. So I stayed in the community there, just a 10-minute walk or 10-minute bike ride.
So you left the family and you were staying near the kids.
Yes.
So were they able to come to like meet you?
We did this. We did that as a reward. So those who behave well and performed well in the exam, so they had a field day or a trip to the teacher's house, and couple of us were staying together. So it was like a potluck day. So they bring some food from their house, and we would cook for them. We would cook in our kitchen, and as a like 15-20 of us would sit together and eat food. And that was a good bonding for them and us, because I don't think they had ever. So the problem was, the community was everything that they had seen. There was no life outside the community. That's why whatever happened, they couldn't distinguish was it wrong or right. And hence we focused a lot on taking them out, our homes. We took them to Xavier's College, we took them to NCPA, we took them to the museum, the Hanging Garden. We took them around Bombay, showed them other religious places also, that there are people who believe in other religion, these are the other religious places, this is the devotion that they have. So they got a lot of opportunity to see these places, and we got a lot of support. I think God helps or God provides in these situations. So the second year just went so well. Like, I still remember we used to just enter the community, and people from the shops and everywhere, "Hey, Ustad aa gaye, Ustad aa gaye, Ustad aa gaye," they would just shout. And parents and kids would just come out to welcome us. "Arey, come to our house, hamare ghar aa jaye, hamare ghar aa jaiye." So I still remember for Eid, we did a record of 35 houses from I think 9 in the morning till around 10 or 11 in the night. And all of us were sugar high, because at all houses we had to eat kheer, because like, "Arey, aap kaise kha nahi sakte?" So like, kheer khao. So like, sugar high that day. So, but that changed so much, and there is where I got that conviction. I'm like, this is exactly what God wants me to do. This is how, if He could do this with me in a community, imagine what with me being so resistant, like, no, not this, not that. Because the last year or the first year of my fellowship, I stopped going for mass. I stopped going for any kind of sacrament, because I was angry. I was angry that what wrong have I done to you? I have been regular for everything. Like, why have you put me in this situation? So I was just angry with God.
Maybe you were also angry that how could you allow them to be in a situation like this?
Yeah, just angry with a lot of things, and I didn't have proper ways to vent it out. So it was all bubbling. But now I had a purpose. Now I saw why, and why I went through this. And today, so when I came to the seminary, the first year when we had to visit slums or we had to visit families, I was in my zone. I didn't have to be uncomfortable. I remember our moderator telling us, so don't ask these questions, be careful, don't do this or don't do that, or say this or say that. And I'm like, pata hai. Like, I've been there. This is my jam. Like, I know what I have to do. I'm comfortable when I visit houses, because we've done these things. I've been in that situation.
Just going back to that, when you went in the first year, you had an idea, a perception, and it turned out to be very different. And
Yes.
and that's so common when we go to a new place, go to a new office, or meet new people for the first time, or meet someone even in the train, like small interaction. We already have an idea, or we've developed an idea of what a good person or a good community should be.
Yeah.
And the moment that person doesn't fit within our framework, we're like, what a person is this? The judgment comes so easily, and sometimes like I've made the mistake, and I'm still not really learned from it, because I still do it. But I realize at times that I've been such a fool in having my perception about this one person that I've missed all the good things about him or her.
True.
And that's a
I think
similar
we are
experience
scared to use a Christian term, I think we are all scared to be martyrs. We are scared to get hurt. And I think I was there. I was scared to venture out because I was told by one person, don't visit the community because this thing will be there. I think I should have asked a male teacher, like, aap kaise jate ho? Do you visit? What do you do? What are the things that you follow? But I did not. I took a hearsay here and there and just started hating them. They were hating me back, and took a lot of time to get out of this web of, misinformation and hatred and all these biases that were there.
I think that's exactly the problem that gossip creates. You've heard something about a person, may be true, may not be true. But the moment you're meeting the person, you've already decided that that person is this, and we've never met the person. I mean, I can imagine the Pharisees, one Pharisee tells another Pharisee, that Jesus over there, he breaks the law, he breaks the Sabbath, he's a blasphemer. And the Pharisee goes to Jesus like, shucks, I can listen to you. And that's a beautiful experience, that the transformation from this, knowing them as this, and to love them as that, from hate to love, the hate to love relationship.
The one important life lesson that I learned is don't compare, because the reason my first year was difficult, like I'm not talking about the community and what was happening there, but in terms of my mentality, is because I was comparing everything. The fellowship is all over the country and we train together. So the fellows so I was in Bombay, there were some in Pune, there were some in Chennai, there were some in Delhi. All of us were trained together. And because I was keeping in touch, everyone's like, oh, I'm doing so well. Oh, my kids are at this level of literacy. This student has hosted a program. Like, they had a mock parliamentary debate, and some of my teachers, some of my peers, their kids were taking part in it. And I was like, my kids are nowhere even forming a single sentence in English. And that was my whole of first year. I am just comparing and getting angry. Why my kids can't do this? Or why I can't do this? Am I a bad teacher, or are they bad children? So I learned a big lesson, which is really helpful to me in the seminary also. Don't compare. Everyone's unique. Everyone has their story. Everyone, everyone's called to do something.
Everyone has their own beauty. You've got to discover it.
Yes. Like, everyone's part of a puzzle somewhere or the other, and that has helped me so much, because see, I don't know how to play a musical instrument. I don't think I'm a good singer. Like, people body shame me also sometimes. You're so fat, you'll have cardiac issue, this issue, that issue. If I were in that mentality, I would have been depressed today. But I know I'm working on things, and I know I fit somewhere. I belong somewhere. God has called me to do or minister to this particular thing or this particular aspect, and I'm comfortable with that. And I help others also that way.
Before we go ahead with the vocation, how do you deal with the body shaming? Because that's, I'd say, trend in the culture, negative trend in the culture.
Unfortunately.
Totally unfortunately. You want someone to lose weight, you say, I'll body shame the person into losing weight. I want someone to gain weight, I body shame the person into gaining weight. Girls, I think, sometimes are more than men are on the receiving end of body shaming. It's so much as part of the culture that you've got to be this size, you've got to be in this shape. I'm losing hair. How are you losing hair? No one comes and says, something positive. How do you deal with that, or how you dealt with the body shaming, and what advice would you give to somebody who's going through something like that?
So my initial experience was I should do social experiments, where somewhere I would go to a parish or a place, and I would initially introduce myself as Brother Harry, and some place I would introduce myself only as Harry. I'm Harry from Goregaon. So the reactions were very different. I remember once in my second year philosophy, I was in Bandra for an event, and the people there with me were, in a very subtle way, how? You're so fat. Why? Where do you buy your clothes from? Do you have to order your clothes?
You have to stitch your clothes.
Yeah, do you have to stitch your clothes? Where do you get this? Where do you get that? You'll have this, you'll have that, life-threatening issues and this and that and everything. And then later on, after the end of the conversation, when they come to know, oh, I'm a seminarian, oh brother, and they are just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean any disrespect. And so my question was, so if I were not a seminarian, you would have still continued that, right? Just because I'm a seminarian and whatever, I have
like he gave a talk, I came to give a
so you are just, you're going to continue that. So the way I dealt with this, I know what I am and I'm not. So the advice that you asked me is, don't be stagnant. Weight issues there, so just because you're comfortable with it doesn't mean you're okay, doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. You work for it, you do your diet, you do your exercise, but at the same time be content with that, in the sense you are making effort. You don't do something which is according to someone else's rule book. Someone else may have a very high standard of this is the sense of normal or something. That is their level, that is their sense of normal. You make your sense of normal, you work hard. It should be okay for you. You should be content with it, the way you work hard. Same thing what we do here for studies. Some understand it really well. So for some, theology and philosophy is very easy. But then you start asking question, why am I not understanding? Has God not called me? No. It's different. You may be good pastorally. You may be good in music, for example. You may be not very bright in the academic part. But that's okay. You do your best. You be the best version possible. So in this case also, you give your best. You have hair loss something, try to do whatever it is.
How do you manage to shut the negative voices? Is it through prayer? Is it through community? Because you have these no matter how much you say, I will not worry about the opinion of others. We've grown up, we've been pushed. The opinion of others has been pushed down our throats. So no matter, at least at the initial stage, when you're trying something, you got to be able to shut those voices to be able to continue what you're doing. Because when you start it, I think the voices are the loudest.
I think my thing is, don't give the fodder to grow. When you retaliate or you respond back angrily, it gives them, you must be guilty. That's why you feel bad about it. Or I know you're insecure because you got angry. Now I have got a nerve that I can pick on. So for me, I don't react. I don't react at all. So some call me, अरे इसको कुछ बोल के फायदा नहीं, reaction नहीं देता. So they shut it. And if there is an overwhelming sense of negativity, then I have my prayer. I have my brothers. I think that's my biggest support system here in the seminary. People whom I can be myself. I know that they're going to be objective with me. I know they're going to tell me, you are going astray, or this is the right path, or they're going to help me, give me an objective side of the formation. And also, people who won't judge me for what I did or what I said. They're going to accept me as a brother, accept me as a person.
They're going to tell you the truth, but they're still going to love you. No matter how difficult the truth
no is. Matter how I like it or don't like it. They're like, sun bola hai, sun ke le. Like, they don't care if my feelings are hurt or no. It's the truth. It's necessary for you to listen to this. So you listen to it.
It's because there is this bond of love. And we all need friends like that, those few friends who we can tell, you're going the wrong way, or who we need when we go the wrong way to tell us, hey, listen, what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes our friends don't do that because they're scared they'll offend us. Not good enough for friendship.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back
to your, be martyrs. Yeah.
How did you go from that, your second year over there, to saying, okay, I'm going now to join the seminary. I'm going to follow the Lord's call.
So that was the conviction that I needed, and I was, okay, this is it now, nothing can now change my mind, and I've got my, lakshya, because when people ask me, why do you want to be a priest initially, isn't that like a glorified social worker? And I couldn't answer that question. So so what are you going to do as a priest? I'll be helping community members and visiting houses and mass, and that's about it. So that's like a social worker, he or she can do that. So why you want to be a priest? And I couldn't answer that simple question, because there's no God. I'm doing it because my organization has told me, or because it makes me, sleep well at night, I don't know. But here as a priest, because God has loved me, I am loving back. God has forgiven me, I am forgiving also.
Like God loved, body broken,
bloodshed. And that conviction made me, that experience there in my second year of fellowship gave me that scaffold, or that stepping stone to, okay, I'm ready.
Would I be right to say that without being able to point it, you wanted to love, because everybody wants to love and needs to be loved.
Yeah.
So your desire to love someone beyond what was required or beyond what is socially required is what led you to the priesthood. To give yourself in so much that I don't care of myself as much as I care about you. So I want to put you first.
Yes.
And I think the priesthood is one place where you can really do that. Give of yourself so much. And like, people say, how do you do it? I mean, I've seen priests, and one reason I'm here is because I've seen people like that. How do you do it? I remember Father Rolwyn coming to class, go for his chemos, and next day he's in class.
Yeah.
And he would tell me it's difficult, once in a while, because he was so close to me, he would tell me, it's tough, but I get tremendous, this is what God did for me, and I feel the presence of God when I'm doing it. It was really difficult for him.
Yeah. Since you brought out Father Rolwyn, and he was, though I was not a spiritual child, I took a lot of inspiration from him, and for the times I would get up in the morning and make a face and like, "Arey yaar, morning prayer," and cancel the alarm. In my head, Father Rolwyn comes for it. He doesn't have to. In spite of his chemo, in spite of the pain, he comes, he sits, he prays. What excuse do I have? So he was an inspiration for me to get up and come and sit for prayer. So people like Father Rolwyn, people like Father Jerome, and so many other priests in our diocese and other ways have, in big and small ways, pushed us, inspired us, because they're total self-giving, and it's outlandish in its face. Like, why? The question anyone can ask is, but who is that person to you? Why are you giving everything? And the answer is simple, because he did it. Because Christ gave everything for us, right? Like, why can't we do up 1% of that? Some don't like that answer. Some are like, it's a very cliche, biblical, whatever answer. But it makes sense for us. It makes sense for us. It gives us hope. We know that what we do is right, and we have people around us who do the same. So I get inspiration, motivation from there. I think, yeah.
There is the greatest joy is in self-giving, to give. And I remember Anish, he during the vote of thanks during your diaconate, he said, as a batch, we all sat together. We get food, say our parents bring us something special.
Yeah.
If it's one small dish, 10 of us, 13 of us, whoever sitting together and eating from that one dish. And that is what builds community. We don't have much, but whatever we have is, in a sense, given.
Yeah.
That how difficult is that giving, or how easy is it? Because a lot of people don't give. We don't want to give because we want it for us, or we may want it for good reasons. But how difficult is it to give?
I think for most of us, we came from families who used to do simple rosary at home, scripture reading, and then eat together as a family. I think many of us from my class wanted to replicate that here. So we used to gather for prayer, and then whatever was there in the room, we used to just share. So I think it began from there, and then after that, even if it's a small dabba, like I remember my batchmate Aaron, Deacon Aaron now, once he got a very small dabba of gulab jamun, itna sa, for his mom. I think they were passing by the seminary and they gave it to him, and he called the entire class, and I looked at him like, kiske liye hai ye? Why did you call it? Just eat it now. He's like, no, how can I eat? You all are all there now, let's share. And he's actually making small pieces and giving it to us, and I realized that's love there, right there. We would have not even had an ounce of doubt or something, he's eaten something from out. But he chose not to. He chose to call all of us because something didn't feel right for him to sit there and eat by himself. I think that's a norm now for our class. Anything comes small or something, we will call everyone, we will share it, because akele baitke, that's not who we are.
Food binds. Even in families, unfortunately or fortunately, we've got the TV or the mobile phone now, and there's this great emptiness where we don't talk to each other. We don't really know. What's happening in the other person's life, because even over food, we are with the phone, or we are watching a movie. How important is it to sit around food and talk?
I think this is funny. If my mom says this, she's going to laugh. So after I received communion, mom removed cable, because I used to love Malgudi days, and there were times where I have gone to school without my tie, sometimes gone with slippers, because the moment the serial ended was the time I had to leave for school, and I used to rush. and she got a lot of complaints, and then finally she just shut the cable. She just removed the cable, that wire, and my brother and I did not know how to attach to something. So it's been now, I think, 21 years since there's no cable connection or TV at my house. So there's internet, everything is there, but there's no TV. So initial years were really difficult, like what to talk, and WWE mein what is happening, and news mein what is happening, no idea. But we got used to it, and today I'm very thankful to her for doing that, because we had no other option but to sit and talk. And today we have lovely conversation. Dad will share something about his childhood or his school days or something. Mom shares something, I share something, brother shares something. And I understand we have grown very close to each other that way. So even in the church, my relationship with my dad is like a friend. Like I'll give him one tapli, he'll say something to me, he'll give me one pat. And my friends are like, ठीक है ना तुम दोनों, like, you know, this is a very unusual father-son relationship that you all have. Like I'll actually give him a chokehold, WWE chokehold in front of people. Like, how did you say that to me? And then like I'm still joking with him. I'm a deacon now, you better respect me. You call me reverend and all. Like, imagine I'm telling that to my dad. Like, you know, abhi izzat de mere liye, you know, keep a chair ready for me and all. So that's the relationship I have with him. And this is because we've sat together, we've broken bread together, we've spoken to each other. And that is, I think, the bonding our class shares, because we sit, we talk. So like, okay, Rolwyn, your family, your diocese, tell us something. So stories and unique experiences from everyone have come, and we know each other. We understand each other as a class. So I think it's very important that even Christ, right? Like wherever you see, Christ is very closely related to food. He's going, people are inviting him for food. He's multiplying food. And after resurrection also, he's like, chalo, breakfast, let's sit, let's eat.
Let me prepare some breakfast.
Let me prepare something, yeah. Like even when after resurrection he comes, do you have something to eat? He's asking for food. The food is very close that way, even for our batch, that, you know.
This great bonding over food, you know, over family. I remember a friend of ours sent a video on the group that said that when we go out as friends for a meal, only one person carries the phone. For emergency, if your family requires. Okay, so with great reluctance, we decided to do it.
Okay.
And one person carried the phone. And we had great conversation just knowing that our phones are not there, you know. There are no distractions. We had great conversations, and there was no emergency call. There was no emergency call because it was about 10:30 in the night. No work related calls, nothing. We just sat there and we ate for an hour, maybe hour and a half. We were a bit late that day, but we had great discussions. We would never have those discussions, and they were personal discussions. One person shared, you know, how difficultly found at office. Then one more shared, and one more shared, and one more shared, and we got up from there saying, we feel good. We feel good. So I think that necessity to give up a little bit and bond around food is very important. You've done that with your youth as well.
Yes. So
they opened up to you much more?
I was very apprehensive when I got my youth ministries, because again, like, not about comparing, but I'm like, will they accept me? You know, like the weight, and you know, I don't know how to play guitar. I won't be able to help them sing in the choir well. What do I do? What is an icebreaker? And again, food came to rescue. Most of them, or I think all of them whom I interact with, all foodies. So we bonded with food. I'm like, okay, take me around. Let's visit your community. Kahan pe khana hai? Where you get good non-veg? Where you get this food? We bonded that way. And I remember for our Christmas gathering, we had a barbecue. The youth came together. We had a Christmas barbecue.
So the youth came together and made the barbecue.
We had a lovely barbecue. So now we still talk about it, and maybe in the future we'll do one more time. Let's see. But we bonded well. We became friends. So today we are friends. I wouldn't say I'm a seminarian and they were my youth, they were under me. No, it was at that level, that talking and vada pav or chips or whatever it was, barbecue.
It doesn't have to be big.
It doesn't have to be big. It's food. It's
get together.
Simple, yeah.
What was, I finished 7 years in seminary. If you look back, what was that one thing that you loved most, that you carry with you for a long time? I know there are a lot, but I'm asking you to.
I think one thing that I will carry with me, and one thing I'm really grateful for, is people accepted me. Wherever I went, people understood me, people accepted me, and that is my motivation to carry forward, because I was not shunned, or I wouldn't say I had a rosy experience or I had like lovely 7 years and there were no struggles at all. I had my struggles, it was up and down, but whoever I spoke to, like take this simple thing, this podcast, like whatever I am talking, you are listening, you are, you are giving me those things, or you are respecting whatever I'm saying. So whoever I spoke to, father, brother, worker, whoever, they accepted me. They accepted me, my condition, my situation, my story. I didn't feel any judgment coming from anywhere. So I appreciate people for that, and because I have been through that experience and I know how important it is when someone speaks, for you to listen, to accept them. I know I'm going to do this. I'm going to carry this forward. So this is one big takeaway or my learning that I've had in the seminary.
So you've been 7 years now in the seminary. Left your family when you came, obviously.
Yeah.
Any regrets, anything, or how do your family take it? Have you ever felt that, gosh, I need to go back to my family to either support my family, or that calling, the responsibility that you feel as a child to your family, to your parents, to your siblings, being the oldest in the family, oldest sibling?
Yeah. I've never had a sense of leaving the seminary. Yes, I've been disgruntled here and there with what happens, or because of some systems, or because of some people, but I've never had the feeling of, okay, that this is it, this is not my cup of tea, and leave. And I think a great support, or the pioneers for my vocation, or the people initially who actually pushed me or formed me, were my family members, because of their sacrifice that they did. And they always downplay their role in our vocation. But today, I think I speak for you also. Today you are here, people appreciate you, the person that you are, the kind-hearted person, the loving person that you are, is because of your family. It's because we have felt the love, we have been nurtured there, our value systems are formed there in our family. Today, if our families were to say, nothing doing, sit here, I don't care, no joining anything, you do what I am telling you to do, we wouldn't have been here. So though they always say that, your sacrifice is much greater, you have sacrificed your family and so many other things, your job and this and that, but I personally don't feel that I have sacrificed so much as compared to them. Like my brother, for example, he was studying when I joined, so it didn't dawn on me till he started working, and then suddenly, oh God, like the upkeep of the house, the responsibility of my mom and dad, and even here my kharcha, I have to buy books and everything, and like he has to handle that. And I got an opportunity last year during the pandemic to speak with him about this, and he just like shunned it away, like, what you're talking, no, this is nothing, don't worry, you focus on your study, we'll handle that. Your intention, your vocation, the sacrifice you're making is much harder, it's much difficult. And I'm like, how are you all so selfless, and what do you all think, what goes in your mind? And
that's a very maybe common experience for most seminarians, because that's simply what I feel.
Yeah.
When I told, my dad was the first person I told, and he was like, okay, go. I say, okay, go. Then I told my mom. In fact, I was scared to tell my mom, because I was not very sure, whether she'll be happy or sad. So I told my dad, you tell her secretly. Next day on the breakfast table, because we were sitting together and having breakfast, my dad says, so Rolwyn wants to join the seminary. And initially, I remember once mom cried also, but she was like, no. And one day she comes back from mass and she says, okay, you can go. Like, what changed? You're like, till last night you were like, you can't go. Saying she committedly goes for that 6 a.m. mass in the morning. And she told me, when I was praying after mass, I felt God tell me that I gave my son, can't you give yours? But so she feels that she's done the greater sacrifice of, giving me, which is, I've done the greatest sacrifice by going, but she's done the greatest sacrifice by, I was supposed to be taking care of them, I was supposed to be there. Even when I left, even on the day I came, my sister was like, don't go. But I still came, and now that she's married, she's still taking that responsibility so beautifully. And it's their sacrifice, it's her sacrifice that, makes me comfortable over here, because I know that she's there.
Yeah.
And I know that she's there, and she's not too far from my house also, so anything happens, I know that, okay, I can give her a call, I can talk to her. So the sacrifice is, God has sacrificed, yes, but they have added to our, added to the sacrifice of God to allow us to be
True.
priests. Like we
I
can,
think just to add to this, I remember we were having a discussion in a class and we were just asking what are our checkpoints, like tomorrow in the ministry, if we go sideways, something happens, we are tempted or something like that, what are our checkpoints? And one of my batchmates just said, just remember your mom, like would you want her to cry? For the sake of your mom's tears, don't go anywhere, don't sidetrack. And that just, I think all of us was like hit. It's simple, right? It's simple. Like none of us would want to hurt our mothers, because they're like, even for you and for us, yes, our whole family has been instrumental in our vocation, but I think our moms have been like muzoput that way. So I think none of us would want to even picture our moms crying or having a tear because of something we have done. I think that's a good safety way. Yeah, okay, I don't want that, so I'll be careful. I'll pray.
To finish, last question. My great experience of, I say great because it's been such a great 4 years that I've had in formation.
Yeah.
My experience has been joy, has been happiness, has been peace. Even though at times things have not gone according to plan, and that's good, because when things don't go according to plan, we grow.
Yeah.
If things always go according to plan, we don't grow. But there's been peace, there's been a lot of joy in everything we do, because now I see back 2 years, my study of philosophy, and said, I've been changed as a person, changed for the better, I suppose, but I've been changed so much that like you said, the acceptance of people. When we came in the first year, we had those little, tussles in the group.
Yeah.
But as the first 2 years, 3 years have grown, we've grown in love with each other.
True.
What's that been, that one solid, impact? Or maybe someone has said something very simple, yet very profound, that has had that impact on you, something that you'll carry for a long time.
I think something very simple and profound is last year Bishop Percy celebrated his jubilee as a priest, and this is something he just said. So 3 rules to be a good priest and to be good in your ministry. So we're like, okay, all years, okay, he's going to say 3
the
things.
Bishop is telling us.
Bishop is telling us, and he's like, so first thing is be kind, second thing is be kind, and third thing is be kind. And we all laughed, but then he went on to enunciate what he meant. And it was so simple, just be kind, be pastoral, because you don't know why that person, or why he or she has done this, or what was the context of it. We put our judgments and we're like, if I were in that situation, I would have never done this. No, he just says, don't have any preconceived notion, prejudice, just be kind, as simple as that. And at least for me, it hit me. And though I have experienced that, though I would say in situations I have not been kind to someone, and I want to be as a priest, but I could never give it a form. I could never name it or give it a proper structure. And here is Bishop who's wise, who's done ministry and met countless number of people, interacted with them. Just simple rule: be kind, and be kind. That's it. Nothing else. Like, wow.
On that wonderful note, because we've run out of time, there are a lot more things we can discuss. I'd like to thank a few people. Firstly, Harry, or now Deacon Harry. By the time I'm getting used to saying Deacon, I've got to say Father. So, Deacon Harry, thank you so much. There are a few people who've been behind the scenes. There's Brother Aston Pinto who's helping us with the recording. You cannot see him, but he's hiding in the shadows here. Joel Aldevera for the equipment, for helping us with the editing. Thank you, Joel. And the other brothers who've helped us to set this place up for the seminary, for giving us this place so that we can record. And most abundantly to God, because of His love that He's showered upon us. Once again, to all of you, to Christ. Harry, thank you so much. It was a joy to have you.
Same. Thank you, Rolwyn, for this opportunity. Thank you.